Today we're going to talk about three different levels of problems, and the third level is normally not diagnosed or approached correctly.
Become the business leader your business needs you to be. Become a B2B beast.
So what we're going to talk about, the three different segments we're going to label as simple problems, complex problems, and wicked problems. So a simple problem is probably the most straightforward. This is just cause and effect. It's A leads to B, and this can be documented. You can put it in an employee manual or whatever it is, and your employees can pick up on them pretty easily across the board. Number two is a little bit tougher, a complex problem. The way to solve it might not be known. There are probably going to be a whole lot of different if this then that type subsections and divergences on how you would approach the problem. But ultimately, it is solvable, even if something needs to be invented or whatever it might be. So these you can typically think of almost like an engineering problem or a legal problem, an HR matter, or whatever it might be. You might have to revisit them every once in a while, but by and large, you can tell if you put in these inputs, the vast majority of the time it's going to give these outputs. So that's kind of what can define a complex problem. But most people lump in complex problems and wicked problems together, and they're very different in their solutions and the mentality that you need to go around that with that. So a wicked problem is vastly different because I almost like to think of it as like an ecology or an environment. If you add in one new thing, the whole environment changes, right? If you introduce a new species into a habitat, you don't know how it's going to affect the thousands of other species right off the bat. And with a wicked problem, a better way to think about it is there isn't always an end solution or an end goal, but you're trying to nudge it towards that way. So wicked problems, they generally involve people to a pretty great degree. And if you've ever interacted with people, you can know almost anything you say or do, it's not going to have a 100% cause and effect type relationship. And whatever you do when you interact with people, you can interact with one group the exact same way, and that doesn't mean the other group's going to get that same reaction also. But it's not always 100% people problems. So people are pretty inherent in the solution. I like to think of this as, if you think of a political problem, almost always there's not a straightforward solution, even if it might seem like there is. Although, of course, all political parties try and present it like they have the simple solution. That, in fact, it's much more complex and difficult than that. And this carries over into business and even in life also as well. So when you're thinking of a wicked problem, think of how interconnected everything is. And then think when you change one interconnected part, how it's going to influence all those other nodes and what those secondary and tertiary nodes, how those kind of spread out. And again, think of it like there is no end goal. There is no end solution. You can't solve a wicked problem. You can only make the environment a little bit better. So when you're thinking of this, the way you want to do it is, again, revisit it frequently. And sometimes you can chop up wicked problems because there might be complex elements to it. So you might be able to solve many of the complex things, and that makes it a lot easier to move your wicked problem that's actually more a wicked environment into a slightly better state. And once you get to the part where there aren't the solvable aspects anymore, try and tease apart just the edges of the wicked problem. Pick one subsection of how you might be able to improve it or nudge it in the right direction. But again, this is something you're going to have to revisit quite a lot. It's something that you're going to have to keep in the back of your mind. These are things like company culture or things like that that might go into it. So let me know if you have any questions. Because again, I would say the difference between complex and wicked problems, it's very difficult for people to tease them apart. They usually don't. And that's where they start to go astray there too. But have a good one, everyone. Let me know in the comments if you'd like help with some of those problems or perhaps defining them, because it's different in every business and every position. Every department has different ones, and they're constantly changing because the environment is constantly changing and people are constantly changing. But have a good one.
Become a B2B beast.